you doing, everybody? So today I'd like to bring to you Luis Rivera. This is my third podcast, episode number 3. And this is Luis Rivera. He spent 26 years in the military. He has 3 amazing sons. He has a beautiful wife. He had a dog. You still got your dog named Smoke?
Smoke, man. Still got Smoke.
Okay, so Smoke is still here with us. All right, that's cool. And I want him to share some of his experiences in the military and then also share his experience using family banking and what he has been able to do with it. Okay, so Luis, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, my friend. Hey, look, I appreciate all you're doing with the podcast and your organization. It's super important to help folks have financial literacy. I think that's just something that our country needs. So a little bit about me. I'm a faithful, committed disciple of Christ. I love Jesus and what he's done for me in my life. I'm a faithful husband to Lori, faithful father to Caleb, Aiden, and Avery, faithful father-in-law to Aiden, to Anixa and Abby, and then soon to be a faithful grandfather to Gianna in September. So we're super excited about that. I served 26 years in the military, retired as a colonel almost 7 years ago. And at that time started really going down the financial literacy road. I'm currently an executive leadership coach and business consultant for a small firm called Solutions 21. But Lori and I also have a small real estate investing firm called Kingdom Investors, where we love to live well, do good, and share with others and grow generational wealth.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. And we're going to jump right in, and feel free to add to anything that I'm talking about. Don't feel like you're constrained to some type of script. Okay. All right. So with 26 years in the Army, you have experienced a lot of diverse financial landscapes, different challenges that come with being in the military, including the relocations, deployments. How did these experiences shape your perspective on long-term financial planning and then ultimately lead you and your family to implement family banking or infinite banking?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. So actually, when I was in the military, I didn't really focus too much on that. I knew basic budgeting and things like that because I was focused on being the best husband, father, and military leader that I could be. Now, I'm not saying that was the right thing. I was just focused at the time. My parents didn't really teach me about finances. I knew my dad was pretty savvy because he buys stuff cash, but he's a traditionalist in the generational sense, and he just buys everything cash. And my mom wasn't that great with finances, although she's learned a lot more now. But I never really explored it because I was so focused on my career. Then after retiring, had a dear friend, Larry Krieg, who I met in Clarksville, Tennessee, where we moved to when I retired. And he started teaching me about, he gave me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then he gave me Nelson Nash's book, Become Your Own Banker. And my eyes were just opened. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't anybody tell me this before? And then after Larry, he introduced me to Trent and Brock Fortner, who you and I both know. And they became our financial advisors and and then they introduced me to, Kim Butler and the Clue system and how to invest long-term with real estate and using whole life policies. And then I just started learning on my own. I just kept reading. And one day Larry goes, you ready? And I go, yeah, I'm ready. So he goes, okay, here's 2 houses. He goes, which one do you want? Because he had some owners that wanted to offload a house. And so I liquidated my Army TSP. I knew the numbers, so I knew the kind of hit I was going to take, but I was okay with those numbers. Bought that house only with 20% down. That was the first house we bought. That was almost 7 years ago now. And then we now have 8 doors and then 6 whole life policies as part of our family bank.
That's excellent. That is outstanding. I mean, the way you looked at everything and said, okay, this is what I could be doing. You didn't back up and beat yourself up. You just jumped right in and kept moving forward as opposed to getting caught up in regret. I love that you didn't see things. Okay, it was this is something new. Let me just jump into this and let me just move forward with this. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a learner so in the Strengths Finders, one of my strengths is learner. So I just like you, man, I'm insatiable and I just soak up books, but then I want to apply them. Right. And that's the key thing. I don't just read the books and then just put them aside. I want to take action with what I read, and that's kind of where that journey started.
But what about making mistakes? How do you feel about that?
You have to make mistakes, and it requires mitigating risk, right? If I'm not learning from mistakes, well, let me back up. If I'm not making mistakes, then maybe I'm being too risk averse, right?
Okay.
Or maybe I have some good processes in place. It just depends. But if I'm constantly just not failing, then I really got to ask myself, am I really pushing as much as I can, right? However, when I do fail, I want to embrace it now. Before, I used to fear failure. And now I have a mindset of embrace the failure, learn from it, adapt, adjust, and then, okay, now what do I have to do new? And then, more importantly, I want to share that with others too.
Okay.
I don't want to keep those lessons. I really want to share those lessons so others don't make the mistakes that I make, especially if it's, just something crazy that I shouldn't have done. So,
No, I like that. And so beyond the skills and training that you receive from the military, what's one of the most valuable life lessons or perspectives that you gained that could potentially be beneficial for a civilian, or someone else considering in their own lives?
Yeah. Something that was really intuitive to us was team.
Okay.
You can't do anything by yourself. You can't do anything of value. Can't create anything of value ever by yourself. So find the team, find those people that are ahead of you. Like I had Larry Krieg. I would pick Larry Krieg. I'd buy him lunch and coffee. It's like, okay, Larry, tell me about this on real estate. And he'd just be happy to share with me his lessons and thoughts on that. Then Trenton Brock Forner, I talk to them. Okay, what do you know about this? You and I have shared that plenty of times. Then I'm with Michael Carter, who's not my CPA. He's like, what do you think about this? And anytime I hear something and I see somebody doing something that I think I want to do and I'm not good at, I'll buy them a cup of coffee or get to know them. It's like, hey, man, I really like to know you. Can you help me learn about this? And see if they're open to that, right? And then I want to be able to give back in that same way. So the key thing is team. Now, the other aspect, and you mentioned that for your civilian audience, but I will tell you for service members is do not wait till you retire to have financial literacy. Start now.
That's important. Very important.
Now, right? And that's my lesson, right? I just did basic budgeting. I had an Excel spreadsheet, I had the little envelope system for a while, but there was so much money not being used, sitting there idle in a bank, not doing anything that, you and I have joked about this. If we would have learned about the infinite banking system when you were a sergeant and I was lieutenant, oh my gosh, game over, right? Yeah. And so team and learn financial literacy early and often. Just keep learning about that.
And I also think it's timing. I think things come to us when we're ready. If I was a young sergeant and I had heard the concept, I don't know if I would have been as open to it. Someone saying, hey, you can use this strategy, it's tax-free money. I would have probably pushed away from it because I'm like, okay, I got my portfolio, my stocks, bonds, and my mutual funds, and I'm comfortable with that. The TSP was kicking off where they were adding a lot of different things to the TSP. And I think that was safe because I wanted to focus on being a good leader. And I think that's where, like I said, timing.
You're absolutely right. I mean, think about, I say if I could do it over again, I would obviously start whole life policies earlier and I would have started real estate. I would have gotten one property at every installation that I was.
Yes.
Right. However, would that have been possible? I don't know. Would have taken my attention and focus away from being a great husband, father, and military leader? Maybe. So you're right. I mean, timing is key and it has to be right for you and your family. And if you're single, hey man, that's when you have a greater risk tolerance, right? Because you don't have to look for a family or anything like that right now. When you have a family, you got to take that into consideration. However, think future, right? Don't live in the future, but think, if the saying is, if you want shade from a tree, you got to plant it 20 years ago, right? So that compounding effect only works if you give it time. So for you young folks, you have time behind you. Use that time wisely.
I love that shade tree analogy. And one thing you said earlier about team, I know even our Heavenly Father, he understood the power of others. Right. He could have easily just swiped his hand and got everything done. but he chose the 12 other individuals to help him. He chose a team of people to bring about his salvation. I think that's important to understand, that you said that something of value, doing something that makes sense. You want to have a team, because you can do things by yourself, but how much you're really going to get done alone?
Yeah. If you what is, I think there's some African proverb, something, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together. Something like that.
Love it. So let's talk about financial uncertainty, because right now in our economy, there's a lot of financial uncertainties with 401ks, different portfolios. So for other people who might be facing, financial uncertainty or seeking greater control over their financial futures, what's some advice that you could give them based on your experience with both long and a distinguished military career and the success you've already had with family banking?
Yeah. One thing I would tell you is learn for yourself. Don't take somebody else's word for it. Go educate yourself, even if a little, so that you're not just handing your money over to somebody else, right? So be prudent in that, be a wise steward in that. Number two is get help. If you're in financial straits or dire needs, get help from somebody who is well-versed in it, has a great reputation, and is in line with your values and what you want to do in the future. Number three would be to take action, right? Don't just keep aiming, and never firing. Just take action once you've learned, once you've sought counsel. Just take action. And as you're taking action, focus on one thing at a time. Don't try to do 3 or 4 things to try to fix all this mess. That's probably what got you in the mess in the first place, because you try to do too many things at once. Right? And then the last thing is habits. Once you're getting through that hardship and you're capturing those lessons learned, okay, what new habits do I need to learn and establish to be the person that God wants me to be now, and for the future to be a great steward of everything he's given? Because I have stewardship responsibility. I don't have ownership rights. It all belongs to him anyways. He's given me these resources and entrusted them to me so that I can steward them well and then benefit others and serve him.
That's good. Great. So after 26 years, knowing what you know now, okay, in the military, and let's just say you just got out, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, a single thing, what would it be and why? Yeah.
Focus on the process. Outcomes or distractions, focus on the process, right? And that means learning and establishing your process for your financial literacy, for your building a generational wealth, whatever, whether it's in real estate, in gold, in silver, whatever your strategy is, build the process and focus on the process. Don't worry about the outcomes, right? Do not be goal focused. Be mission oriented every day, one day at a time. God gives us 86,400 seconds every day. What are you doing with those seconds? Are you focused on what he's created you to do and using the resources that he's giving you that day? Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has worries for itself, right? And oh, by the way, I'm talking to myself. I've had to fight this for decades. I was too worried on the future. And because I was living so much in the future, I wasn't present here. Right. And my dear wife, Lori, she's awesome. She's like, hey, bro, I can't live over there. I'm trying to figure out what's dinner tonight. I need to be here. And so she helped me see that. And then reading scripture and God showing me, it's like just 24 hours a day. And so you don't get crazy planning. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. Just those things are out of my control. Focus on committing to a process and controlling whatever you can in that process, and take one step at a time. So you do.
No, that's good. And then how do we compete against, when you think about it, in the military, you have a 30-day, 90-day, 60-day. I mean, we're looking 6 months, a year out.
Yeah.
How do we compete with that and then push against that in our personal lives?
I'll tell you, I'm watching a documentary on Peacock. It's called Here Come the Irish. And it was with Notre Dame last year when they made their run to the national championship, and focuses a lot of coach on Marcus Green, their coach, and man, amazing leader. And over again, he never talks about winning the national championship or, whatever conference they were in, whatever, winning that. He was always about, hey, who are you going to be today? How can you improve and commit to being the best you can be today? Because that's all you can control. And he goes, if 100 of us can focus on that, no stopping us. There's no stopping us, right?
That's great. No, that's great. I think it also has to do with compartmentalization, separating your professional life, whether it's a job or whatever, a career, and then saying, okay, in my personal life, this is how I need to do things over here, especially when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
So that's great. Now, getting ready to jump off, what do you want to leave the listeners with, the viewers and the listeners? What do you want them to take away from this?
Yeah. So, hey, look, if we have to be stewards. We own nothing. It all belongs to God, right? And if you are a child of God, that's how you got to be thinking, right? If not, then you got to come to terms with what that is. But I'll tell you, we're taking nothing with us. We just can be stewards here. We have stewardship responsibility, not ownership right. So what are we doing with the resources and gifts that God's given us, entrusted to us, so that we can help others and serve him? Right? That's what it's all about. Just one day at a time, just doing that. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the outcome. Trust me. Ephesians 3:20 says, and to him who can do more than we can ever ask or imagine. He's already got to figure out. He's going to abundantly bless you if you're faithful in the things he's entrusted to you. So just focus on that one day at a time.
Love that. Love that. And definitely appreciate all your insight. Appreciate your time,
brother.
Man. And looking forward to many more conversations.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the future.
All right. My pleasure. Thank you.